Hello and welcome back to It's Queer Magic. It is me, as always, your host, Kirbo. And guess what? Can you believe it? Can you even handle it? We are now in Leo season, finally. Now, no shade on my Cancer babies because I love you. And I do actually enjoy Cancer season most of the time, but this has been a particularly volatile experience, right? The waters of Cancer were really watering. The emotions were wild. The endings were harsh, but the cleansings, the rejuvenation, Yeah, the rejuvenation has been top tier. Love it. But it's been, has it been that way for you? I feel like we've done it, and that means that we need to take we need to mark this. We need to take a moment. So me and you right here, we're going to take a moment and just feel into celebrating ourselves. Here we go. Ready? Okay. Yes, we've done it. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of us. And now we are here. We've arrived in Leo season, and it's time to look into the energies ahead and see how we can have the best Leo season possible, how we can lean into the energies on the table for us and make it through with grace, but also to thrive, to really thrive. So we are doing it a little differently. I'm going to go sign by sign, check your sun, moon, and rising. There's beautiful energy there for everyone, for all of your signs. And let me know what you think of this format at the end, and we'll get there, okay? First up, Leo. All right, first up, Leos. Here we go. The card I pulled for you is Death. And this is a beautiful opportunity. This card is denoting for you this season the shedding of things that are already dead. We have a lot of fear sometimes built up with this card because we don't want to lose things, right? We don't want to move on sometimes from the things that we are experiencing, from the version of ourselves that we are living as. And so we see this card and we get a little scared. But the thing about the Death card is that so often it is not talking about a vibrant, fresh, useful, rooted in the truth currently version of you or piece of you. The Death card comes to pick up the bodies, so to speak. The Death card comes around to say, this part is begging, begging to be laid to rest. This version of you, this piece of your life is done and has been done. And it's like, being a tree and clinging to the crispy dead leaves. And when really you're just invited to let them fall to the ground so that they can decompose, so that they can fertilize the growth that you're actually after. And this might seem like a downer of a card to get for your season, but it's not, because I really think the point of whatever it is that is going to be dying, whatever it is that you are being asked to let go so that it can transform you, is in an effort to get you to be able to really enjoy the journey. If things have been really like a sludge, like really trying to get through things, it's just not feeling good, it's not going well, there's so much like stress and anxiety and all of these things feeling like they're at 11, this death, letting go of what is being asked to actually die in this moment, will help you continue on your journey, enjoying the journey. It's so that you can find a way to actually like your life. And it's okay to be resistant of that. This is a free will universe. First of all, you can do whatever you want, but you sort of know how it feels to make the choices that you've already made, right? You've been living this way and you sort of already know what it feels like. And when the Death card is on the table, you really get this opportunity to say, okay, there is a path forward here that has me feeling differently, living differently, and being a different version of myself. The Death card is not an enemy. It's really a friend. It's an ally. It says, let me unburden you. Let me take care of you. Let me step in and take my place in this natural cycle so that you can continue on your natural cycle of evolution, of growth, of death and rebirth. This is who you are. And this is like a very heart-centered season, right? Leo's a heart sign, which says a lot of things. But what I want to point out right now is that it really requires vulnerability. It really requires courage. And true strength and courage is vulnerability, is a willingness to tell yourself the truth, a willingness to see what really is going on underneath that you have been running away from, and a willingness and surrender to what is becoming more and more undeniably the truth for you. The Death card wants to help you achieve that, arrive in a place that you are experiencing more of your actual truth, of your ever-evolving truth. It's not like something being untrue means it was never true. It just means that it is no longer true, which is okay. It's all okay. I really think that this is such a beautiful invitation to make sure that you're living the way that feels like the way that you want to live. And you're finding a way to surrender when things are trying to change. And sometimes we really want to hold on to those things, and that's when it really starts to hurt. So if you can find a way to surrender whatever it is that is so clearly done, and if it's not clear to you, take a moment, right? Take some time, a couple of days out of the week, sit down with your journal and figure out what it is that you're actually deeply unhappy and dissatisfied with. And of course, not everything is in your control to adjust. But when the Death card is on the table, you've got some assistance. So you can lay it down in ritual. You can lay it down in your journal. You can lay it down in your prayers. Whatever it is that you do, you can dance it out and say, help me to move this, because I don't want to be this version of myself. And that version of myself no longer wants to be either. And when that happens, and we can lay ourselves down, it requires a very big sense of trust that what we are going to be discovering underneath that layer that we're laying to rest is just as beautiful, valuable, special, and lovable as whatever it is that we are laying down. This is not about pretending, right? It's not about acting. It's about letting yourself change in the ways that you have already been changing. I also feel like everything that you've been working on the inside this past season, the season before, Cancer season, is going to have a chance to come out to the light. And the things that you have not been working on, that you have been ignoring, that have been begging for your attention, are also going to manifest themselves in your physical world. And it doesn't mean that everything's over. It just means that this needs your attention, and you're not going to get through it. You're not going to get around it without addressing it. Let the Death card hold you. Let it hold you. Let it show you the depths of what is true. And let this messenger of death actually unburden you from the pieces of you that you feel like you have to be yourself. The pieces of you that you have to hold on to be yourself, because you're changing. And it is definitely for the better. I hope that was helpful. Thanks so much, Leos. Have such a beautiful, beautiful Leo season. Okay, Virgos, Virgo sun, Virgo moon, Virgo rising. Hey, I'm right here with you. I'm a Virgo rising. And we have the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups. This is interesting. This is not going to feel like it comes naturally to you. It's not going to feel like it comes naturally to you. And which is funny, because I do feel like there's been this big energy with Virgos and people with heavy Virgo placements that has been like sort of slipping back into a strictness, sort of slipping back into a very like rigid and structured way of experiencing life, which is okay and fine for anybody, Virgos included, but that sort of leaked over into play, sort of leaked over into fun, sort of leaked over into the places in your life that sort of require that kind of chaos in order to be fulfilling and satisfying. And I think that this season, the Page of Cups is really asking us to be a little bit more surprisable, to be a little bit more willing to be surprised about what is possible, about what we're going to enjoy, about what we find humorous. And there's so many ways that we sort of keep our emotions at bay because they're not logical, or they don't fit into, not because they're not logical, but they don't fit into the plan. They don't fit into the schedule. And not to be like stereotypical on you, all over you Virgo people, I'm right there with you. But I also feel like the Page of Cups is actually talking about that. It's actually talking about this willingness to be curious about what is actually going to satisfy you now. You've already gone through so much transformation, and learning to fill your cup is difficult and complicated when you have to start from fresh, but you're like an adult. And because it doesn't feel correct a lot of times to let yourself be this like childlike version of yourself that is in exploratory mode, that doesn't know what they're going to like. And you can't sort of do it the right way or the best way when you don't know, right? And so a lot of times I think we have been, or at least recently, we've been a little bit more tempted to just not explore, since we aren't going to get it perfect. It's not going to make sense. We don't want to feel like a beginner or like we're not smart or whatever. The Page of Cups says none of that matters. The Page of Cups says what matters is putting yourself into this childlike place where you are willing, able, and so invested in finding out who you are now in the specific area of like, what do you like? What is your joy? What brings you so much aliveness? Yes, but I mean specifically like laughter, levity, brevity. Do those words mean the same thing? I don't know. But laughter, joy, right? So what is it that brings you just that joy and that doesn't feel like it's productive? Doesn't feel like it makes sense? I feel like there's a lot in this season that isn't going to make sense for Virgo rising, Virgo moon, Virgo sun. I feel like there's so much that's just like, I never guessed that this was happening, but it turns out I really love it. I never would have thought this was for me, and I'm never giving it up. That kind of energy. But it's really difficult to arrive at that understanding of I actually like this if we don't let ourselves explore. If we don't let ourselves try, if we don't let ourselves be surprised by what's in the cup. I love this card because there's a fish in this freaking cup. Come on, what? That's like one of the only little jokes in the deck. I mean, I do think it's funny that there's a baby cherub mermaid washing its armpits with a fish in the Queen of Cups. But that's neither here nor there. The Page of Cups is one of the only jokes here. It's like, that's so silly. And it really says like, not every emotional breakthrough comes from like heaviness and crying and hard, brutal honesty. Some of the most powerful, beautiful, special, earth-shattering, like world-changing, emotional, revelatory things, experiences come through joy, through finding a way to sort of relax your shoulders, finding a way to breathe into the fun of being alive. And I think that we all need that, not just the Virgos, but this season, I really do think that the Virgo energy of like care, active care, like taking care, is really going to come in clutch. It's going to come in handy, but in the area of I need to find and I get to find what brings me joy, and investigate maybe that some of the things that used to bring you joy might not. Some of the things that you never let yourself even try have been waiting and they're like first in line. And then there's things that you didn't even know you wanted to try. And now you get this opportunity and it really is going to surprise you. I really feel like it's going to surprise you. And all of this is in an effort to make sure that you also have the fuel to keep going. You have the fuel that you need, because anger is so beautiful. Determination is so beautiful. And so few of those things, though, are sustainable as fuel. Love is the most sustainable fuel out there. We lead our lives with love and have a never-ending source of energy. When we're talking about revolutionary work, or abolitionist work, you have to sort of love the oppressed more than you are angry with the oppressor. Otherwise, you will not make it very far. You have to find a way to lead with love. And while there's so many big things that we could talk about, I really do feel like this is personal. I really feel like this is about you and about how you directly deserve to have fun on the planet, no matter what, that you deserve to find joy here, that it is your inherent birthright to find a way to have a giggle fest, right? It is what you deserve, and it's actually gonna be productive. That's the thing, is that it will help you. It'll help put things into perspective. It will help you recognize where you have been standing in your own way, where you've been playing a role in your own suffering, and how you can sort of let yourself be. The Page of Cups this season for you is a beautiful invitation to explore the heights and depths and widths and shape and color of your pleasure and of your joy. And you'll get a lot out of it if you remain surprisable. Okay. Thanks so much, Virgos. Have an excellent Leo season. Love you, Mil. All right, Libras, let's see what Leo season has in store for you. With Temperance, the Temperance card. I actually love that for you. And I really feel like this is saying a couple of things. One, I recognize that you have been putting so much work into your transformation. And I think it's really important and necessary for you to recognize that as well. I understand that you want to get to the finish line, that you want to get to the place where you're seeing the work that you've been doing, the new habits, the new routines, the new outlook and perspective on yourself and your work and your worth, everything that you've been working on. I know that you want to see it reflected in your life as like, okay, that's the prize I get for that. And I think that that's coming. But this season is where we're getting a little bit of fuel for this magic, for this transformation. I think that you have so much spiritual support, so much support in the invisible world this season for this transformation. But the thing is that when you're transforming this season, it's gonna feel wild. You're not going to be able to necessarily know exactly what's going on, know where it's leading you, or understand the feelings that you're having while you're having them. And while I encourage you to keep up with your routines, I encourage you to keep journaling and do whatever that actually helps you to process stuff, but also sort of release yourself from the expectation that it is going to make sense right away. Temperance is a Sagittarius card, right? So Temperance is magic. It's water and fire. We are really this stuff. Like, we're not the angel. We are the water in between these cups. They're taking your insides, mushing them around and changing them. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a little, maybe some headaches or achingness. And it's not saying that, like, I'm guaranteeing you're going to be sick. Not at all. But what I'm saying is that when we transform like that, when they're taking our like spiritual DNA and like shifting it around and helping us to be the person we want to be and helping us get to where we have been putting the work in to go, it can sort of feel pressure and release of pressure in different places that sometimes feels great and sometimes feels not so great. But ultimately, the Temperance card is inviting you to put a little bit of ease and love and care and gentleness onto your whole journey, onto your routine, onto your healing journey. I feel like it's been full steam ahead, and it still is. It still is. But this, I think, when you are engaging with Temperance, and that's the energy that's helping you, it's really important to remember to have a balanced perspective and a balanced outlook on your life. And you're a Libra. You need that. You need that balance to be well. And even though you've been putting all of your heart and soul into this one thing or this one area of growth, this season it's time to sort of make sure that all of the other areas of your life are getting attention, are getting love. If you've been going hard on something, it's time to try to find a way to go easy on it. If you have been sort of going the other way and taking things really gently and really slowly, then you might get the invitation this month or this season to go hard in a direction on something in some way. And I really do think that this is like a deep and true transformation, but it's just not the one that you see happening in real time as you're feeling it. I think that it's going to be a felt experience, and then at the end of it, you'll be like, whoa, I'm different. I don't know what had happened, but sometime in the last few weeks, I have changed, and it feels maybe complete, maybe not complete, but it feels like I have some external validation. I can see it. I can see the fruits of my labor sort of at the end of this. And again, I've pulled the same bottom of the card deck for everybody. It's all of the Four of Wands telling us that this is in an effort to get you to be able to have a moment to yourself that feels like it's just for fun and for joy, and to mark a celebration, to make sure that you have, every day, every week, every month, something that you're saying like, yes, let's stop and celebrate this. Let's experience this. Let's mark the passage of time with a celebration. And this Temperance card for you Libras, it really feels like the change that you've been praying for, that you've been asking for, that you've been wishing for, that you've been working towards. But you might not believe it right away. You might not see it right away. But if you can find a way to trust it, if you can find a way to surrender to the things that are sort of happening inside of you and recognize that you aren't in control and you actually don't need to be in control, and you can sort of surrender to the guides and guardians and benevolent energies around you that are helping you to move and to change. I do think a few of you are going to experience your guides in a different way this season. You might actually get a little bit more words, a little bit more sights, sounds, more experiences where you're like, oh, okay, no, my guides are here. They've been sort of peripheral, and now I'm like, okay, no, I'm actually engaging with these spirits. I really feel like that is a thing that's on the table for a lot of heavy Libra placement people. Just remember that you can't go all in on anything right now. You can't go all focus on one thing. You have to find a way to balance it out, which is your natural state. So give into that, surrender to that. And, I feel like there's a certain degree where it might not feel good, it might not feel safe, it might not feel right to let yourself do the thing that comes naturally to you because you've been working on changing. But you're not completely wrong. You don't need to completely change every piece of you. You bring a certain wisdom to your life with you from before you got here. You have innate wisdom and knowledge and an intimacy with yourself and a piece of the divine within you which knows what to do in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different areas. So when you get that urge to kind of pump the brakes a little, not make a decision in either way, sort of let yourself experience both, and it is okay to trust that, even though it comes naturally. You're not going backwards. You're not undoing the work that you've done. You're not blocking your blessings. You're just having a moment of balance, of moderation, of ease, while you continue to change. Okay? Thanks so much, Libras. Have such a beautiful Leo season. Love you. Talk to you soon. All right, Scorpios. The card I pulled for you is the Page of Pentacles. There's a lot of pages. Everyone's starting over. I guess there's not a lot of pages. There was just been one. Ooh. Okay. The Page of Pentacles, Scorpios. The Page of Pentacles for your Scorpio for Leo season. It really feels like you have the opportunity to take all of the information from the last season, from the last few seasons, and take all the nuggets of wisdom that you sort of learned, the truths that you've realized, like, oh, I actually really need this in my life. I actually really need this in my life. And find a way to sort of make a new routine, to make a new schedule, to put your heart into, not just your heart, but your time and your effort, especially when you do not feel like it. When you're like, it would be easier to just sort of not do it that way. You're really invited to begin again bringing with you the knowledge of the past versions of you. The Page of Pentacles in this moment really feels like an invitation. Again, I always say curiosity with the pages, because it just rings true for me. But I really feel like the Page of Pentacles is asking you to be curious about like a new way of living, and not just like your money. Like associating the Pentacles with money and only with money is like, it's boring. It's boring. It's boring. Okay. It's boring. It's not accurate, and it's boring. Not that it doesn't talk about money, but that it's not the whole bag. The Page of Pentacles, or the Pentacles altogether, are talking about life. They're talking about your soul work. It's talking about the most mundane thing that is, which is being a body, like living in a body. Your spirit is not mundane. And then the first mundane thing is existing in a body, which means that you have all of these needs in your life and all of these like opportunities in your life to sort of arrange things so that you are living in a way that reflects who you are on the inside. And the Page of Pentacles specifically is like, what could be true? Like maybe you thought 10 years ago that you were always going to be like a night person or whatever. Like, what if that's not true anymore, right? What if that's actually just not good for you? What if you're like so dedicated to like, I don't know, sugar or like baseball or I don't know. But what if you were so dedicated to those things and couldn't ever for a second think about living without them or living differently? This season you might feel like, am I being invited to sort of investigate my relationship to that thing? And I really encourage you to do so, to surrender to that movement, follow those invitations and see what you can do to arrange your life in a way that is pleasing for you. Because here's the thing, you are not going to be able to change everything. You just aren't. Not everything is within your control. Not everything is like sort of destined at all. And there's so much that you're not going to be able to change, right? We can show up for the union fight, but we can't force it to get to a conclusion when we want it to get to a conclusion, right? We have to be a part of it. We can know that we don't want to do this job, but we can't quit immediately. Some of us can, but those are the examples I'm giving, right? And the Page of Pentacles is saying, okay, if you can't change those things, that's okay. But what can you do? What can you add to your life? What can you subtract? What can you adjust so that you are excited still, so that you're excitable, so that you have more things in your life that bring you that sense of joy and aliveness? You're really being invited to investigate it from a place of like love and beauty seeking, and the Page of Pentacles is like such a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just such an open-minded energy, it feels like to me. And open-minded, if your body could be open-minded, it's your body's open-mindedness. And you're really invited to investigate where it is that you are being asked to be curious about how you could be living, about how you could adjust your physical life to actually reflect more of who you are and what you want and who you want to be and who you don't want to be. The Page of Pentacles, taking the Page of Pentacles pathway to the Four of Wands, to the card in the bottom of the deck, really says like, if you want to have celebrations, you sort of have to, one, be aware that there's something to celebrate, and two, plan for it. If you want to do it, you have to write it down and then do it, right? You can't just say like, I want to do this more. I want to ride my bike more. And then you just never do it. No, you've got to say, I want to ride my bike more. Okay, revelation. Now I've got to put it in my planner. Now I've got to set an alarm. And when the time comes, I have to sort of make myself do it because I know that I want to. And even if there's another part of me that's like, oh, I'd rather sleep in, I'd rather do this, I'd rather do that, I know that there's a big part of me that really actually wants to ride that bike. And I'm going to do it. And this is not about making a lot of hard and fast changes that we're sticking to forever and we're just not going to be flexible about. This is just about experimentation. It's about flirting with the different ways of living and seeing what sticks, what feels good, and remaining flexible if it wanes, if it's like, this was good and now I'm going to do this. And I feel like this is leaning on a piece of your, this is trying to teach you a little bit more mutability. It's just trying to teach you a little bit more mutability. And, you know, it is so okay to be a little resistant to that. It's so okay to be afraid of that. It's so okay to not even know how you feel about it. But ultimately, you're going to get invitations to change the way you're living. And I really, really encourage you to be curious and open-minded, open-hearted to the ways that you could change for the better for you, so that you feel better, so that you have more good days, so that your life is arranged in a way that actually takes you where you want to go. I really think that's a big part of it too. Like, this is actually connected to the Chariot year and connected to taking you where you want to go, and sort of trying to remind you that that requires forward motion in areas that you're not paying attention to, And those things are going to ask for your attention, and I suggest you find a way to give it attention. Okay? Thanks so much, Scorpio. Hope you have a beautiful Leo season. Okay, Sagittarius is next, and the card I've pulled for you is the Four of Swords. And I really think that this is an invitation for you to do what just does not come naturally to you and pump the brakes. You have to find a way to rest in order to recharge. Your desires, your dreams, your goals aren't going anywhere, but the places that you're getting stuck because you can't hear where you're supposed to go. You're not in a place where you're able to receive the information that you need to receive. And that's natural, that's normal, that's not shameful, or that's not an invitation to feel guilty or bad about it. It just says, oh, okay. If I need to be able to hear, I need to do things to listen. The Four of Swords, a lot of people talk about it's like a mini death, which I get and I love and I don't disagree with. I also just think it's about actively listening. It's about building a container to receive information, which means if you're not meditating, it's time to meditate. It means if you're not journaling, it's time to journal. It means that if you are not actively putting yourself in a place of reception, whether that's stillness or in movement, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying that you have to find stillness in order to receive. And if you haven't watched my meditation video, go watch it, because that one speaks a lot to the things that I'm talking about here, where it's not about doing it quietly or stilly or still. It's about finding a way that works for you to receive information. And the Four of Swords in Leo season for you, Sag, is really asking you to commit to this. And they're like, fidget if you need to fidget, but listen. I think that there's going to be a different way to listen. And if you're like, Kira, I've been doing my meditation, I've been sticking to it, I've been doing this, I also think that there's an invitation here to change the way that you're doing it. Not because it's bad, not because it's wrong, but just because as energy shifts, sometimes our tools have to shift. And if you've been doing a sitting meditation, maybe it's time to do a walking one. If you have been journaling in a specific format, like maybe it's time to start drawing instead, or automatic writing instead of really getting the like journal energy out. I just really feel like there's so much going on in your head and so much going on in your heart and so much going on in your body, and we need a moment to bring it all together, to slow it down, to untangle some of the places that those cords are tangled up, so that when we are ready to sort of shoot forward again, we are uninhibited, we are unafraid, we are bold again, we're feeling like ourselves. And if you haven't been feeling like yourself, that's okay. That's okay. It really is, like, I don't want to say not that big a deal because it feels dismissive, but it is a natural, normal experience, and does not mean that you're going in the wrong direction. It usually just means that you need to find a way to fill up again. And remember, rest and restoration are different things. So what allows you to rest is likely not going to be the thing that actually fills you up. Very important. Find the way to fill you up. But I think most importantly, like if you don't take a minute to stop, to sit, to listen, to ask for information, to be grateful, to do all of those things we do in our listening practices, then the fun is going to stop feeling fun. The party's going to stop feeling like a party. It's just going to feel like drudgery. And you will lose sight of all of the ways that your life is working out. You're going to lose sight of all of the ways that things are going so well for you. You'll be hyper distracted by the things that are not perfect, hyper distracted by the things that have not fallen into place yet, to the point that you are only experiencing pain and sorrow and contraction when that's not what your life is in its entirety. So this season, even though the energy, like we're in a fire season, it feels good. It's a kindred cousin spirit. We're like feeling like we want to get our rocks off. We're having our hot union summer. I get it. You can still do that. But please find a way to balance that out with a little stillness, with a little quiet, with a little listening. And again, I know I said I'm like contradicting myself because I said it doesn't have to be still or quiet. It doesn't. But I feel like there's a lot of you in which it sort of does need to be that. And you can decide for yourself if that's you, if you need stillness or if you need movement. It's not about it's just about being able to get to a place where you are receptive and you are receiving. So however it is that you go about that, if it needs to be different, if you need to get back to the practice, if you need to start over, whatever it is, allow yourself to experience that, because the Four of Swords really asks you to build a container. It says, if you want this information, you've got to build some place that we can give it to you. It's like being like, I really want to learn tarot. I would love to get messages through the tarot and never pulling them. It's like, we can send 1,000,000 messages to the tarot, but if you don't pick up the deck, you're never going to get them. It's that kind of energy. Like, if you want to receive, you've got to show up with your hands open, with a way to actually catch it. And that's what the Four of Swords wants from you this season. So let yourself slow down, let yourself feel into the places where your energy sort of tangled up, and find a way to untangle it and exhale. And that doesn't mean you need to overcome anxiety or any other mental illnesses or limitations that you have. That's just not ever what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say, just fix your anxiety. You know what I'm saying? That's not what the tarot is saying to you. It says, okay, we recognize these are your circumstances, but you have some practice of listening, and you're invited to find a way that it works for you. That maybe you can't be still and you need to have a fidget toy, you need to wiggle your leg, you need to be walking around, you need to be dancing in order to actually receive the information. That doesn't matter. All of that is beautiful. Just make sure that when you find the way to receive it, that you make it a habit, so that you can continue to receive the wisdom and information that is going to continue to drive you forward, so that you can keep going, so that the party still feels like a party when it's time, so that the fun still feels like fun and doesn't feel like drudgery or obligation. It's really important to recognize where your life is going well, and it's going to be hard to do that if we don't sort of pay attention, if we don't receive the information, if we don't listen and tune in to the juicy, delicious moments of your life. Okay? I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much, Sag. Have a beautiful Leo season. We'll talk soon. All right, up next is Capricorn. My Capricorn angels, you have the Five of Cups. And here's the thing. I feel like this is not telling you that you're going to experience some emotional difficulty. I think that it's telling you that you already did. I think it's talking about what has already happened, what is in the past, and the places that you are still fully distracted by that pain. And I don't even know if that's the way I want to say it, because it really is okay. It's not necessarily a distraction, but sometimes when we're wholly focused on just that painful moment and we're thinking about it all the time and we're spinning around in circles and we're sort of ignoring the invitations to pick up our head and move on and do other things, not just move on, but sort of experience the rest of our lives. Like, we have all these cups knocked down, but these two are still standing, and we kind of can't see it because we're fully absorbed in the ones that have fallen. It is okay to grieve, but the thing is that grieving is not a straight line. It's not a short-lived experience. It's sort of a lifelong experience, and it changes and it ebbs and it flows, which means that you get to sort of also do other things. You get to also experience the other feelings in your life. And if you're really feeling angry or frustrated or really sad about whatever it is that you have experienced, this season you're being invited to sort of look at the places that you have received a little bit of clarity because of that moment, because of that pain, because of that grief. Maybe not because of, but wrapped up in. What has it shown you that is important to you? What has it shown you that you maybe have been spending too much attention to, too much time on, putting too many of your eggs in that basket or whatever? I really feel like this 5 says, Capricorn, the pain is there, the trauma is there, you have been hurt, we recognize that. But you really have the invitation to try to find a way to pick your head up right now. And it's not like you have to just like change your mind and not be sad. It's not like you have to change your mind and just like say, not depressed anymore, thanks. It's not about that. It's about accepting those feelings as your current circumstances and continuing on with your life. Showing up to the things that you know that there's still a big piece of you that wants to show up to. And I want to be clear in that I'm not speaking to people who are like I'm not telling you if you're actively like in the middle of your grief that it just doesn't matter and that you should just move on and let it go, right? That's not helpful for anyone. It's not the right path forward, and it's not what I'm trying to communicate. So I want to be clear. There is an energy with the 5 that says that of these cups are spilled and they're going to stay spilled. And part of the journey of like finding balance and getting through and letting yourself actually grieve is to turn around and look at the pieces of your life that are still here, that still require your attention. And you don't have to do that by yourself. You just don't. I'm never going to tell you have to do something by yourself. I'm never going to tell you that you don't need therapy or friends and family or counseling or whatever. None of the tarot cards tell you that. What I am going to tell you is that if you can find a way to engage with this in a different way, to engage with your grief in a different way, to engage with the things that are still here, that still require your attention, you will not regret that. I think that it will work out. Moving the whole world. My bad. Sorry. But you're not going to regret that. It's going to be good. It's going to be worth it. It's going to allow you to see the joy that you still have in your life. Again, the card on the bottom of the deck for everyone is the 4 of Wands. So this is actively about trying to find a little bit of a break from the grief process, trying to find a little bit of a break from the sadness, and intentionally engaging in something that brings you joy, that brings you a sense of celebration, that brings you back to life. And you don't have to force it. It doesn't have to be fast, but you are asked to sort of pick your head up, turn around, get the cups that you still have, and find a way to keep going because you're still here. And get the help that you need. Ask your friends, your family, your community, find a professional, whatever it is that you need, you're allowed to need it. And the 5 of Cups actively asks you to utilize that, to engage in it in a way that is actually helpful, and to recognize where you do have a little bit of room in your feelings and your grief to recognize where you do still have a lust for life, a desire to do things, a desire to experience, desire to grow. It sort of does ask you to reconnect with the places where your desire is still very much alive, very much calling to you, but you're just sort of fully engrossed in the grief part, which again is okay. But I think this season you're going to finally get a little wiggle room. I think that the weight of the last season is going to lift off of your shoulders in a big way. I don't want to put this wholly on you. I'm not saying that you have to find a way to not be sad. What I'm trying to say is that there is going to be more wiggle room that you didn't think that there was going to be. Your feelings are going to sort of ebb a little bit and give you space to sort of stand up and pick your head up and find a way to keep going. It's not about being at the depths of it and then like forcing your way out of it. It's about how you're going to be able to move on. And that's so, so powerful and so special and so wonderful. And it might not feel like actually moving on, but it could feel more like I still am sad and I'm crying, but I can actually get up and have breakfast now. You know, it's movement, and it squeezes, the pain, the sorrow squeezes around us, the grief squeezes around us, but it does just try to show you also what is important about what you have now, what you're experiencing now. It says, that's so sad. And because that's so sad, doesn't it make this so special and so important? And can we put our energy and our time and our attention on this thing that is so important that we didn't even realize we were taking for granted, or we were ignoring, or we didn't even recognize that we liked as much as we do? And now we can sort of see that better. That's the invitation. So I'm sorry if you're not feeling good. I'm sorry if you've been really dealing with this grief, and the 5 is not necessarily going to immediately make it feel better, but I do think that it is going to give you some wiggle room in order to keep living, and you deserve that. So find a way to breathe into your breaks, find a way to step away from your life when you need to step away from it and have just like a joyful, celebratory experience. I think that you deserve that at every turn. And if you can find a way to give it to yourself, you really will see you moving through your grief in a healthy way. Okay? Thanks so much, Capricorn. Have a good Leo season. Okay, Aquarius. The card I've pulled for you is, the glare. Oh, this is the devil. And can you tell my like inspo? I know it's Leo season, but this is just who I am. The devil card for Aquarians. Leo season is going to ask you to investigate all of the places where you are playing a part in your suffering, where you are playing a part in your own oppression, where you have built cages and chains inside of yourself to keep yourself in place, to keep yourself in line, to keep yourself safe. Because that's what it is. It's an effort to be safe. Because we have been really indoctrinated with the tools of like fear and shame. And we know that like those things don't really work to change things for the most part. Change out of like guilt and shame don't really get us anywhere sustainable or substantial in the long run. They usually just serve to perpetuate a cycle of harm. And the devil in this moment is a big invitation to see where you are just holding yourself back because you are afraid to be wrong, where you're afraid to be a freak, you're afraid to be different, you're afraid because you have this shame, because you have this guilt. And the devil is an active invitation for you this season to deal with that buried guilt and shame. Specifically shame. This is asking you to investigate your relationship with shame. And the devil means a lot of things, but in this moment, I really feel like that's what we're talking about. I feel like the devil for Aquarius this season is like, listen, you have so much information. You've been given so much information about who you really are. And there's so much of you that wants to let that version of yourself run wild and free and be the version that's out there in the world and, soak up the sun. But there's a piece of you that is unwilling to let go and let that person be because of shame. Because you're so afraid that you are wrong, that you are somehow deep inside a monster. And you're not. I don't know you, but I don't think you're a monster. And the devil wants to give you the tools to sort of unchain yourself, which is not something we think about often with the devil as a figure. And also as with the card, if you look at these people, they're not even like, what are they even chained to? The devil's not holding their chains. Their chains are on this. And that's not even the devil. That's not even the devil. It's not even the devil. Look it up. It's not the devil. But ultimately, I feel like in this season, there are going to be opportunities. There are going to be pathways. Definite opportunities is a fine word. I don't know why I was trying to change it. Opportunities for you to address that shame, which means in some areas, those opportunities are going to be in the form of revelations, in the form of a burst of bravery to sort of like do something that you've always wanted to do, but you felt ashamed about, tell a truth that you haven't been able to tell. And some of them are going to be in the form of friction, in the form of you're finally there, but you will not let yourself do it and you're suffering because of it. And this journey is big on like nightmare energy for you right now. It feels like you think you're running away from like this big beast and all you can do is keep running, but it's like a nightmare where if you stop running and you turn around and you look this thing in the eye, it becomes not a scary, mean monster. It becomes incredibly innocuous and harmless. The pieces of you that you are so afraid are garbage are deserving of love. Sorry. The pieces of you that you detest, that you think are disgusting and horrible, are deserving of love. And it is the only way to heal. It is the only way to heal. Continuing to run away from that version of yourself or those pieces of you, continuing to stuff it down in a place of like shame and pain and sorrow and guilt and sadness, and just keeping it locked in that cage only grows that sense of foreboding, that sense of this is bad, of I am bad, of I can never be loved. And it's just not true. And the more that you sort of direct love there, that you spend love there, that you say, you're safe here, you can experience this home inside of me, the less power it will have over you. The more you will realize that it's not the horrible thing that you thought it was. And the more you will realize that you can feel whole, that you can feel loved and lovable, that you can feel worthy, but nothing outside of yourself is going to penetrate this wall of shame until you open the door, until you break down the wall. And you don't have to break it down all the way. You just have to find a way, a place, a hole, a slight crack that you can wiggle through. And that's really a beautiful thing, because breaking down the wall is hard and it takes a long time. Or maybe not always a long time, but it takes a lot of effort. And you're not necessarily going to get away from doing that work or putting in that effort, but you will have a much easier time the sooner that you begin, the small, tangible ways that you begin. Even with just dealing with your negative self-talk, when you tell yourself you're a fool or an idiot or unworthy or ugly or whatever, you immediately get the opportunity to say that's not true, actually, even if you don't believe it. And the fun thing about this is that you don't have to believe it right away. You don't. Some people would say otherwise, that like you can't think that you are delusional or won't work or whatever, which is, I don't disagree with. But in this case, you do not have to believe it right away. The more that you tell yourself, that you practice responding to that negative voice with the truth, which is that you're not an idiot, that you are not a failure, that you are not unworthy of love, that you're not a monster. The more you tell yourself, the more it will become muscle memory to think that thought instead. The stronger the positive voice or the truthful voice becomes. And again, you just don't have to believe it right away. You will grow into believing it. But that's why they call it work, because it's hard to say, no, that's not true. I'm not a fool. And Leo season brings all of this stuff out into the world. It brings it out into the sun. It says everything that's on the inside is on the outside now. And when you're dealing with that kind of shame, when you're dealing with that kind of fear and self-hatred, it doesn't feel good for it to be reflected back to us in the physical world. And it doesn't mean that people are going to be mean to you or hate on you. It just means that you're going to encounter opportunities, experiences that you are going to respond to with self-hatred. And it's not so that you hate yourself. It's to give you an opportunity to make a different choice. And you can mess up. You can mess up as many times as you need to. You can always fall off the wagon and get back on. You can always recenter. But the Devil card this season for you Aquarians really says, if you don't begin this self-love journey, this self-acceptance journey, which is really, it's more self-acceptance than it is self-love, you'll never get anywhere. Which again is your right, your choice. You can make that choice if you want to, but you know how it feels to not get anywhere. You know how it feels to hate yourself, and you don't deserve that. And there is a path forward. There is a future in which you don't actively, completely hate yourself every day, all the time. And unfortunately for you, I know you love this, but unfortunately you are going to have to stop with the self-deprecating jokes. Unfortunately, you are not in a place where you actively think that they're untrue. And you're just reinforcing those ideas. So even in jest, don't be mean to yourself. Don't be harsh. Don't be cruel. Don't put yourself down, because we are working at tearing down these chains, at breaking them, at pulling the cage off of yourself to set yourself free. The opposite, not opposite, but the sort of sister card to the Devil in my practice and in my experience is the Lovers. So this is about feeling whole. This is about knowing yourself, knowing the dark part of yourself, the part that you hate, and finding a way to pour love on it, because you deserve it and it will feel better. Thanks so much. I hope you have such a beautiful and incredibly loving Leo season, because you deserve it. Hello, Pisces angels, your turn. Okay, so the card I have for you is the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups for you is really interesting, because this is really an opportunity to move through your life with compassion. This has you sort of coming out of a place of really living in the dream world, really living in your delusion, and bringing those delusions, I don't know if that's the best word actually, those dreams into the physical world. And there might be some frictions, it might feel a little abrasive to sort of do that when not everything exactly matches that dream world in the physical world. But you are coming off of a season where you've learned something about yourself, where you've learned something about your life, you've learned something about your pain, and it's time to like incorporate that into your life, into your waking feelings and not just your dream life feelings. And that is it needs to be a slow process. It needs to be a gentle process. The Knight of Cups really is this energy that can take us from the depths depths of the ocean, like deep, deep, dark, pressurized ocean, up into the surface, breaking the surface, and then into the air. It sort of has the ability, it's like a scuba diver. It has the ability to go deep down and then has the air, the lightness to bring you back up again. And wherever you have been stuck, either in the air or deep under the ocean, which we just came off of Cancer season, so I'm sure for most of you it was deep down. It's time to bring that back up to the surface. It's time to lighten a little bit. It's time to have a little bit more of a focus on the easy, breezy, beautiful, the light, laughter-filled, easier things in life. Easy, I don't even know if is the right word, but I mean more specifically like more like not just light in weight, but effervescent, the beautiful, the innocent, the delightful. I think delightful is the word I'm looking for. Into the delightful. I really think that this card is speaking about this transition between how you were feeling last month or last season and how you have the opportunity to really put your effort and energy into the other side, seeking this sense of balance, seeking this sense of inside world to the outside. Pisceans are very good at making their dreams come true, but here's the deal. A lot of times we can get a little bit uncomfortable with the reality of our dream because we are so used to how it feels in the dream world that when it gets here, we're like, ew, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I thought it was going to be like. And that's okay. Sometimes it means that you just have to get used to it. And sometimes it means that you didn't want that. And it's time to investigate what you do want and how you're going to get there. And again, this is the Knight of Cups. So you really are being asked to walk with compassion, with a heart-centered, open-hearted energy that has you caring about the way that you really feel. I really think that's like the biggest part of this is that like you spend so much time caring about so many things and like, can we actually care about the way that you really feel in your actual life and not run away to the dream world to deal with it, but to actively try to move differently in your actual life, in your physical life, to honor the way that you actually feel. You can run and you can run and you can run, you can hide, you can pretend, you can keep doing that. But you know how that feels. And if you have an invitation to move differently in your physical life in order to be different, to feel different, to honor, again, who you actually are and honor how you actually feel, then I think that that's worth it. I think that that's worth it. I think that it is worth it to experience the truth. I don't think that reality has to be this harsh experience for you. But you do have to make a little bit of effort in reality to adjust your reality to reflect a little bit of your dream life. And again, not to get too stereotypical. I don't think you're all just like people who like disassociate or run to the dream world or whatever. You know, I don't think that that's like a universal or even the core of the Piscean experience. But you are dreamers, and that's your power. It's your gift. And it's hard sometimes to want to reconcile those two worlds to be one, to bring the dreams into the physical. Sometimes we don't want that, even though we want our dreams. And you're really being investigated. You're being investigated. You're really being invited to investigate how you are resisting the changes from your dream world into your physical world and how you can surrender to them, because you deserve to feel better. You deserve to feel like your world tells the truth about who you are. That the people that you talk to, that the jobs that you have, that the dreams that you're chasing reflect something true about you and not a story that you want people to believe about a story about you, right? Like, this is how I want my energy to be received. No, it's about how you actually feel being yourself and doing your life. I really think that in this moment, the Knight of Cups is speaking to a softer, gentler way of moving forward, because you have to move forward in the full truth. And that can be sort of a harsh experience for you and for all of us. And leaning into the Knight of Cups and letting yourself be super gentle with yourself is going to help you get through this. It's going to help you make the changes that you need to make. It's going to help you recognize where you actually are deeply unhappy and let yourself, again, make the changes that you deserve to make. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much, Pisces. Have such a beautiful, beautiful Leo season, and we'll speak soon. All right, Aries, you're up next. And the card I have pulled for you is the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords. Sevens are annoying. I get it. Sevens are annoying. When we're experiencing a seven, so often we are fully distracted by something that is just not the point, that is not the message, that we don't see what it is that we're actually being invited to pay attention to, what we're actually being invited to like engage with. And with the Seven of Swords, it really is like so distracted by what we don't have, by what we might not ever have, by how we are not enough, we'll never have enough, we'll never be enough, that we miss what is actually even happening at all. We think that getting those things that we don't have enough of fixes the problem, when it doesn't. It is the energy of like trying to just patch a bunch of holes instead of fixing where the break is, of like working on an inside problem from the outside, which just does not work. That doesn't work. The Seven of Swords is really asking you, can you engage with your life and with yourself, recognizing that you are enough and that you have enough? And I'm not telling you that you have to be satisfied with the amount of money that you have when your needs aren't met. I'm not telling you that, because this is not about your stuff. This is about your mind. This is about your brain chemistry. This is about your core beliefs about who you are, what you're worth, what you deserve, and what you don't deserve. Right? I'm not saying you have to be happy being like on the street. What I'm saying is that this is asking you to investigate the ways that you do not deserve to be believing that you should have nothing, or that you're always going to have nothing, and that this is just what you get because it's who you are and what you deserve. That's wrong. Sorry, that's wrong. The Seven of Swords is again, like, this is an annoying experience, because especially if you're in America, if you were raised in America, it's like literally 2023 now, and we were all taught this sense of lack from the beginning. So many of us are like, you aren't enough for your parents' love, for your grades, for college, for everything. You're just not enough. And because of that, you need this product. And because of that, you need this job. And because of that, you need this kind of partner. Really makes us completely ignore the things that we actually want. The job, the lifestyle, the partner, the career, I already said job, but the things that we actually do want, we don't even see, because we're so distracted by trying to achieve the things that they said that we should want, and thinking that that's going to fix it, when it's not. If it did, we wouldn't have sad celebrities. And you know what we have? People who seemingly have it all and are incredibly sad, who are depressed, who are suffering. And I don't just mean clinical depression. I mean, they are suffering in their lives because they did not work on the inside part of not feeling like they are enough, of not feeling like they're talented enough, like they're worth anything. And this month for you, Aries, I keep saying month. It is kind of like a month's length, but I mean the season. This season, Aries, has you coming up with opportunities to really, see the places where you are actively operating from a belief system that has you at the bottom forever, has you not enough forever. And it also sort of has you coming up against opportunities, or coming up to opportunities and friction that is trying to like disprove that, which sounds great and is great, but I don't think necessarily always feels great. Like, I think that it could be situations like, this big opportunity is here. Are you going to trust yourself enough to do it? Or are you going to sabotage yourself because you think, I couldn't do that. I'm a fuck up. I'm a failure. I could never try that. Or I feel like there are also opportunities that are more like, how do I describe this? Like, maybe even getting what you want. Like getting that thing, getting that promotion, getting that check, getting that car, getting that partner or whatever, and then recognizing that that wasn't it. This is not an invitation to like feel bad about yourself and think that there's no way to like feel good. This is more of an invitation to investigate those core beliefs, what you actually, like what the actual problem is. And you can work on the stuff on the outside while simultaneously working on the stuff on the inside. Like, what do I actually think about myself? What do I believe I'm worth? What do I believe I deserve? And trying to find a way to expand that, because there's always a cap. There's always a top of what we think we deserve. And even when we grow, we're like, actually, I thought it was here, but it's here. And it's like, no, it's like off the chart, but you think it's here. And when you get there, you're going to have to do it again and again and again and again. And I think that the Seven of Swords, really says, Aries, I know that you think that this is going to fix everything, but because the problem is not actually on the outside, it's not going to fix it. So can you also spend a little time, a little attention, a little energy on the part of you on the inside that fully believes that this is what you deserve, and that you're just like working against yourself, working so hard in the physical world towards something while simultaneously running against it on the inside. That doesn't get you anywhere, and doesn't get you anywhere that is satisfying or fulfilling or that feels good. And because of that, you deserve to do that work. You deserve to take a look at the places where you really believe that you're not enough and find a way to unlearn that. Find some tools, some resources to unlearn that information, because it is not true and it will hold you back at every turn. Okay? Thank you, Aries. Have an amazing Leo season. Love you a mil. All right, Taurus, you're up. The card I've pulled for you is the Fool. I love the Fool. One of my favorite cards, one of my favorite experiences, one of my favorite spiritual anchors in this world completely. The Fool for Taurians this Leo season. Listen, this is big risk energy. It's fresh start energy. It is the opportunity doesn't seem like seems too good to be true. And because of that, you feel like it's not worth it. Like it's a big risk. Like you are not safe to take this chance. And it may not be an actual opportunity for all of you. It might actually be an idea. It might be the desire of pulling you in a different direction that sounds or looks or feels like too much for you, like not safe, like you cannot take this chance. And the Fool says that if you tune in and you find that you're being pulled in this direction by something deep and something true and honest inside of you, that there's no reason to believe that you will not be carried. The Fool reminds us that our comfort zone is not comfortable. It reminds us that our foundations, our safety zone, our security area is an illusion. It's not real. Even like the best example of this is like job security. We sometimes can like think our whole lives, like if I just get to this position, I'll have job security. No, you won't. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's not real. Even we have seen the people at the top of major corporations completely lose it all, who we thought would be the most secure in their jobs. They're just not. And that's a very good example in that comfort zone is an illusion. And there's a part of you that's always known that. There's a part of you that is like your soul that knows and has always known that that is an illusion. And is always going to be drawn towards like complicated, contractive experiences because the soul just wants to grow. And you have this brain with this beautiful, incredible computer inside of you that learned a long time ago how to keep you alive and does not want to change. So you are never going to feel 100% sure, positive, comfortable moving forward when something is actually super right for you. It's very rare in my experience to actually get a full body yes, because your brain is like, I've never done that before, and that means we're not doing that because I don't know how to keep you alive, and I'd rather keep you uncomfortable, sad, downright unsafe than change, because I will not know what to do. I won't know how to keep you alive. But luckily, your brain isn't you. Your brain is yours. Your brain is not who you are. It's your processing system. It's your computer. And you can make friends with your fear. You can make friends. And sometimes we can't make friends. I feel like that's a thing that we should recognize. Sometimes people can't make friends, and you're not necessarily like able to be like, it's okay, friend, it's okay, fear, like, come with me, I'll pick you up like a little baby and we'll travel, we'll be fine. Sometimes that's possible for people, and for some people it just isn't. For some of us, we have to treat our fear like it's at an office meeting, and we bring everybody in and we hear fear out and we say, oh, that is a very interesting point, fear. That's a smart thing to be afraid of. Thank you so much. We appreciate your input, but we are going to go in a different direction. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you. But no, valid feelings. Thank you. Very smart. But we're going to go ahead and do this anyways, right? Sometimes you're just not able to like make friends with it. Sometimes it doesn't ever feel like not fearful. And sometimes you're able to quiet the voice, and sometimes you just aren't. But ultimately, you're being asked to find a way to move forward anyways, to follow the call of your heart and your soul anyways. I feel like a lot of you are going to get the idea of a lifetime. Like, you're finally going to recognize that there's something that you've wanted in a deep way for a long time that you never recognized, that you never noticed. And now all of a sudden it's like, I want that? Yes. Oh, okay. Yes, I really do. That's a big risk. That asked me to change my life in a lot of ways, but okay, here we go. And the risk is that you're going into the unknown, that you are stepping off of the ledge of your comfort zone. But this figure that represents your soul is not looking at the ledge. They're looking straight up to the sky, because they know that no matter what, if they're being called from their core, that even if they don't end up somewhere that they thought they were going to get to, or that even that they prefer to be at, that it will be good. It will be where they're meant to be. It will be maybe not where they're meant to be, but it will be someplace that will have so much to offer them because they are being called. I do sort of feel like it's where you're meant to be, because when your gut, the deepest part of your soul, is calling you towards something, even if it's not great, it's kind of where you're supposed to be because you're built to follow your desire. And when it's not a whim, but a deep desire, in my experience, it's worth the risk every time. Every time. So when you are faced with new opportunities, with new relationships, with new ideas to create something or live a different way or just do something differently, and then you're confronted with all of this fear, remember this reading and remember that that fear does not mean it's wrong. It likely means that it's right. And you have never been secure. Nothing has ever been certain. And yet here you are. And so that means that you likely have been taken care of, protected, guided this whole time. And there's no reason to believe that you won't continue to be. Especially when you're going forward, connected to your true will, to your deep desire, and trusting yourself. Trusting the universe. Like, we talk about trusting the universe with this card a lot. And I agree with that. And I think that trusting the universe is a beautiful skill. But sometimes trusting the universe is difficult because it actually means trusting yourself, to take care of yourself, to pick yourself up wherever you land or wherever you fall. And somehow when we think about that, it seems like way scarier and way harder. But ultimately, you have taken care of yourself at every turn, even when you were making mistakes. You've made it this far and you're not going to fumble yourself. You're going to show up for yourself. Make that commitment to yourself, especially you Taurans. Come on. You're going to take care. You're going to do what you need to do. And it may feel like what you need to do and what you want to do are separate, but I would take a minute to quiet down, to look inside of yourself, to feel it out, to see if they really are different. Because I feel like in this moment, this season, you might find out that that they are one and the same, and that you have everything that you need to contend with your fear and move forward, trusting yourself, trusting the universe, and taking the risk that you know has the potential to really pay off in satisfaction, in feeling alive and aligned and purposeful in your life, in getting where you want to go, in changing something that seemed unchangeable. I think that it's worth it, and I think that you can do it. Thank you so much, Taurus. Have a beautiful Leo season. Okay, Geminis. My Gemini, you know, I'm a Gemini. I'm a Gemini sun. I've also got Mercury, Venus, Jupiter. It's in my midhaven. We've got Gemini energy in this household, okay? So I'm right here with you. We have the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands. Yes. The Three of Wands is a beautiful invitation to let yourself start, to go out on this journey that you have been preparing for forever. Girl, you have got to get out of the preparation stage. You have got to get out of preparation and step out onto the road. You got to get on the boat. You packed the boat, you've done the work, and it's time to try. It's time to move. You have been called towards something new. You've accepted that something new is available for you, is on the horizon, and now it's time to bring yourself to the starting plate. And this is not the Two of Wands in the sense that like you're starting fresh, in the sense that like you actually have not been on a journey like this before. This is the Three of Wands, which says that you are bringing a learned version of yourself forward. You're bringing a version of yourself that has all of the wisdom, knowledge, tools that you need to move along this journey. It is not saying that this is the first time. It's saying that this time it's going to be different because you've done this before. And it may not be towards some goal that has been the same. I think for some of us, it may be like a goal that we remember that we kind of put aside, but is now back. But it really is like in a different way. And I feel like for a lot of us, it's a different goal that we have, that the experience that we have received, that we have gained going throughout our life, going throughout our journeys, all of the healing journeys that we've been on, that information is going to be very useful and necessary for this journey. It's like you may have been on a like self-love journey before, and with the Three of Wands here, you're going on it again, but you're going on it again having been here before. You know the lay of the land. It's like you literally just came from one life and are coming into the next. And remember, you know, it's like those kids who like are clearly reincarnated and kind of know what they're doing and remember so much, and they are still new, right? They're still kids, they're still fresh, they're still new, there's still so much to learn. It's still the beginning of a new journey, but they're bringing the wisdom of their past lives with them. They're bringing the wisdom of their old selves with them. That is the energy of this card this season. Geminis, this really has us putting all of the like lessons that we've learned sort of at the back of our head, not like to forget about them, but to embody them, to like lock them away and say, this is going to be like, these are my instincts now. It's not just information, it's instinct. And now that it's instinct, It's time to move. It's time to start this journey. It's time to break into the world. And I feel like for a lot of us, there is a journey that we've been like stuck. We've been stuck. And some of us are moving on. Some of us are putting that old thing down. And some of us really are, I feel like most of us really are coming back around this idea from a different angle, from a different perspective. One of my friends was talking to me the other day about like something that got messed up when they were younger and it stayed in their brains. They said, do a 380. And I think that that's very this. I feel like doing a 380 is really accurate in this moment. It is like we've turned all the way around to where we were and continued a little bit. And now we're right in the middle of something that we are doing that is the same, but we have turned around and have a whole fresh perspective on it now. I really think that there's a lot of opportunities to make different decisions, to address the bad habits, address the resistance to change, resistance to being that version of yourself that can handle this, that can be successful in this journey. And letting that just be, letting it happen, releasing all of that stuff and paying attention to it intentionally and letting fire really drive you forward. And I know that you're an air sign, and I know that that means that fire is not necessarily your comfort zone, but fire and air go together real good. Fire and air fuel, right? Air is fuel. Fire needs air in order to get it going. And that fire heats air and brings it higher, right? It changes it. And together they make such a beautiful pair. So let this season really change the air that is inside of you. Let it adjust. Let it inflate you and utilize it as fuel to move forward. Trust yourself. You've learned. You're different. This is the new journey, but you're bringing with you all of the experience that you have from the other similar journeys. And it's going to be different because of that. And you can trust that. And every time it looks exactly the same and you have the opportunity to make a different choice and you want to make a different choice and you think you should, make a different choice. Just do it differently. And if there is an opportunity to reinforce a choice that you thought was a good choice, reinforce it. Make the same decision. Move forward and being like, no, I know that that's the right thing to do now. And that is the way I'm going to take care of this. It will change your life. This is the beginning of your life fully changing. I can't wait. I'm very excited. I hope that you're excited. The 3 of Wands. It's finally time. The blockages, moving. The road, open. Doesn't make it easy, doesn't make it without obstacles or challenges to rise to, but it's finally time to start moving, and I think we're really gonna get somewhere this time. Short and sweet, because that's it. Here we go. Let yourself really surprise yourself. Let yourself show up to the journey. Allow yourself to put all of your energy and to trust in yourself this time around, and you'll really get somewhere. Happy Leo season. All right, Cancers, it's your turn. And the card that I've pulled for you is a relief. It's the Star. I know that it's probably been a lot for you. This past season has probably been a lot for you. It was your sign, your time, and it's been a particularly volatile, friction-filled Cancer season, a very emotional, very stereotypical Cancer season. And I feel like there's just so much that might still just be unclear. And the Star for you moving forward into Leo season tells me that like you're in a place where you're finally gonna, some things there might make sense again. You're going to get some information about what to do with the feelings that you've encountered, what to do with the emotional roller coaster that you've been on. It's going to tell you what you need to heal. And especially if this last season, if Cancer season for you was full of feelings without like logic, or full of feelings without direction on what to do with them, this is the season that you're gonna get some information about how to deal with it, where to put it, what tools are going to be useful for you. This is about finding a way to pour into yourself and to pour into your work, whatever it is that your work is, not just your job, but your capital W work. It says, are the things that you're pouring into also pouring into yourself? Is the work that you're doing for everyone else having a positive impact on you or not? Because the star is a beautiful healing moment. It is an incredible, like, spa-like experience where we are like taking a breath, having a moment, taking it slow, really feeling into the sensual, satisfactory, nurturing care of our senses, right? Of our touch and sight and smell. That's what I mean by sensual. That, like, the star is this healing capsule, this healing container of time, but it is also ruled by Aquarius. So we are talking about information. And if Cancer season was a big washout for you, a big release, a big clearing, Leo season is going to be a software update. This is where you get U.13 or whatever, where you are receiving now in a big way. Where Cancer season you are releasing, Leo season you're receiving. And so really give yourself so much space to take it easy. Give yourself tools to record the information that you're giving, that you're being given. If you aren't journaling, it's time. If you don't like to write, but you need to voice record. If you need to draw it out, draw it out. But give yourself a tool to record the information that you're getting. Because this really is going to be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to move a little differently internally. Oh, I'm going to move a little differently externally. Oh, all I have to do is shift my perspective. My perspective is finally shifting, and now I can sort of engage with this differently. That's the energy of this. It has you finally like doing something differently with all of the information that you've been given and all of the healing that you've been doing, all of the crying, all of the release work is going to amount to something that it might not be easy. It may actually sort of feel like Cancer season 2.0. And that's okay, because we're in a Cancer year. So that's just like, we're in a chariot year. That's just what's going on. And it is okay. But the star requires you to take it a little easy. So I really encourage you to find all of the places where you can make sure that you're having your needs met. You're looking around your body, your heart, your soul, your spirit, your emotions, whatever, everywhere, and saying, where am I feeling malnourished? And giving yourself what you need to nourish yourself, to fill your cup, to release what is no longer working, and to listen for the information that's going to have you actually adjusting your life, actually changing things. I really feel like software update is the best way to put this. It really feels like another operating system. And there are a million ways to receive and utilize and embody that. And I really think that you're encouraged to sort of explore those ways, to sort of see where you internally are being called, like where you're being pulled to move, where you're being pulled to find stillness, where you're being called to tell the truth about something. I really feel like we can't play anymore. It's time to tell the truth, because you're not going to get anywhere if you don't. You're not going to get over the hump of healing with this thing still just inside of you and nobody's eyes on it. This season, Cancer, if it feels like you need to hide it, if it feels like that's a shameful thing, I've got to put it away, if it feels like I immediately can tell nobody about that feeling or about that whatever, if it feels like you have to hide it, it's time for eyes on it. As soon as you can. It's time to share it. It's time to be seen. It's time to put your load on someone else so that you can share it with a therapist or your support system, your friends, your family, whoever is in your community that has the capacity for that encounter. It's really going to be valuable for you to start telling the truth about that. And it may feel like You're sharing that you're a horrible beast. It may feel like you're sharing that you don't deserve love and that it's going to change your life in all the most horrible ways. And it is going to change your life. And not all of them are going to feel good, but it is absolutely going to make your life better. I know that. It is going to make your life better because this is about healing. This is about evolution. This is about finally living differently in a way that benefits you and the people around you. It is a mutually beneficial experience for you to tell the truth and let this operating system update. It's like you got all the information, you released a lot during Cancer season, you may have gotten information, you're going to get more information and the opportunity to actually do different things, to actually share your feelings instead of locking them away, to actually speak where you need to speak instead of being quiet, to actually address your self-absorption, to address your the ways that you are stopping yourself from having healthy relationships where you are, and that's not bad. Don't take that as an invitation to hate on yourself. We all have to learn how to have healthy relationships. It's not just because you're a Cancer. It's not because of who you are or whatever. It's all of us have to learn that, right? And the Star is your card this month. So please breathe, relax, find a bathing practice that feels good. Maybe take some spiritual baths, find a river to go and by, be in nature, take it easy and focus yourself on receiving the healing that is already raining down upon you. Okay? Enjoy that. Thank you so much. You have such a beautiful Leo season. There we have it, all 12 signs. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know if you like this method, if you like this format, or if you prefer it in one big video, one reading for all of us. We're still exploring, right? We're still new together. I have 13 videos. We're fresh. It's the beginning, so we can see what works and what doesn't. Let me know if it resonated for you, if you have any questions, or if there's a piece of you that is I'm confused. Recognize that there's so much information out there and some of it may be not for you. There's a lot of people listening, but also it may be for you later. May not resonate now, but it may in a couple of weeks you'll be like, wait a second. That happens all the time. So that's okay too. And definitely go back and get your moon and your rising sign if you've only listened to the sun, because it will also give you a lot of beautiful information. And remember that everybody's card on the bottom of the deck was the Four of Wands, so please spend some time setting everything else aside and doing something to celebrate how far you have come, to celebrate the moments that you're living from day to day, to find every reason, every excuse to celebrate. And I really think that that's going to get us through the rest of the summer. So thanks so much again. If you want a one-on-one, you want to see how your personal Leo season is going to go, you can book a session with me at my website. It's queermagic.com. The links are below. You can join the Patreon and join our Rainbow Witches Discord. So much fun. We have a reading there every single week. We have astrology meetings, tarot club. We do a lot, and we have a full fun Discord and a full fun good time. We're all cute and queer and neurodivergent and fun. It's a good time. Everybody is welcome. So follow me on Instagram as well at It's Queer Magic. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I do silly things there. I am at Gemini_Gemini, and that's at the bottom too. And stick around, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much. Have an amazing, beautiful, powerful, hot union labor.